Now I'm live. All right. Well, good morning again, everybody. And welcome to everybody who's in the sanctuary here at Metro East Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Greetings to anybody who's watching us remotely, whether that's today or on a different day. This is a welcoming religious community, and I am so thrilled to see everybody today. It is so wonderful to have such a big group today. I am delighted to be the minister of this congregation, especially in these times when we need each other. It is so good to see everybody, both our new members and friends, our longtime returning members, and all of the new people coming in. So I hope that everybody will have a chance in our potluck after service to reach out and say hello to somebody and offer a welcome. So we welcome everyone this morning to our home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope, because we are Unitarian Universalists. An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. I know we have a lot of different interpretations of our chalice, but right now I feel like the flame of hope in the midst of the darkness that overshadows us is a very important reminder. And I think we have a volunteer. Little Vincent? I think we're gonna. Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna let Vincent not really light the chalice, but we're gonna light it in your honor today. Okay? Can we do that, buddy? I invite all of you, whether you're here or elsewhere, to light your chalice or candle now as we join in saying our unison words projected on our screen. We light the chalice today as a symbol of love at the center of all we think, feel, and do. We light this chalice in hope for the future of our church, in faith that it will light the way into a shared future. Will you join with me as you're willing and able in a spirit of prayer and meditation? Spirit of hope and planning, we turn to you today as we look to the future of our church, a future where our building is open to all who live according to our values and covenant, and who need shelter and safe haven in these turbulent times. May we who are here today be able to put aside our own fear and terror and listen within for your still small voice guiding us to a sustainable future where we can grow and thrive for generations to come. Amen and blessed be. I invite you now because it is a full house this morning, so I'm going to guarantee there is somebody here that you don't know as well. So I'm going to invite you all to find somebody that you don't know by heart and greet somebody this morning, and then we'll turn into our favorite hymn. He's going. Because it's the only thing that you know. Human nature. That's right. That's right. Alex.
Promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together, as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together, as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together, as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
It's our tradition here at Metro East UU congregation to place our services within the larger values that we as Unitarian Universalists hold dear. We do this because we don't necessarily have a uniting theology or creed. Nobody is going to ask you, what do you believe about insert thing here? God, the afterlife, angels, Jesus, whatever. That's not who we are. What we are going to ask you is, what do you do in the world? How do you treat one another? Who do you love, and how does that love manifest itself? So this week, especially in the face of hate that is so being broadcast right now, we are lifting up the value of love and putting it at the center of all we do. It is easy to talk about courageous love, but it is much harder to actually live this out, especially right now. And yet, it is precisely in times like these that grounding ourselves in love and covenant is exactly what our faith demands of us. It is no longer enough to be okay. It is no longer enough to be reasonably nice. What we need to do when everything is arrayed against us and simply existing is a struggle, we need to remember that grounding ourselves in and thriving because of love is most necessary. Now, one thing that we're often taught in our world is that love is playing nice, and that is not the truth. Jesus is often pointed to as an example of someone who is very good at unconditional love, but he went into the temple grounds and whipped people out when they were keeping people from a loving God. Love is not going with the flow and caving to those in power, unlike the media and tech companies right now. Love is not dehumanizing anyone, but it is about holding them to account for their actions. Love is about creating safety for yourself and your people, even when the culture is no longer safe. It is about finding a cause that resonates with you and making your part of the world better in some way, not just for you, but for people you might never meet. Today is our mid-year meeting. Today we get to talk again about buildings and land, and we're all probably tired of this, I know, but the truth is where we go from here is a crucial question for the roots of this congregation and for where we go forward from here. We need to ask ourselves not just which lot do we pick or how do we judge our congregation, but what do we want to do with this building? We have 30 days or 31 days a month that we can do loving things in this place. The religious right wants to make churches such a wonderful, special place, devoid of all the usual rules that separate society. We have to take advantage of that. We have to say, fine, if you're going to make churches a place where there's no rules, then we're going to be a church where people are safe. If you're going to say that churches don't have to abide by all of these other laws, then we're going to be a place where your hate doesn't come in. We're going to be a place where we will use the right pronouns, and we will use the right names, and we will use the loving things that people need, and we will be the family that people have, whether or not Idaho wins and people's loving marriages get broken apart, because marriage is not a piece of paper. Marriage is the love in people's hearts. Love makes a family. Love is who we are as a people. Love is who we have been for 200 years in this church, and love is who we will keep being. We will love our immigrant neighbors. We will love our trans neighbors. We will love our gay neighbors. We will love every one of these people because they deserve love. You deserve love. Every one of you that's being hated on right now by the administration deserves love. Unconditional, supportive, wonderful, emboldened, incredible love. And we're going to be that church. Amen. And blessed be. Right. Wait till I get to the sermon. But I won't pay for that later. But you know what? It's true. This is love, and this is home, and this is family. I can't control what they do out there, but as long as I'm in this pulpit, I will have a church that is full of love. And we will be a family that embraces one another. Y'all can kick me out of the door and vote me out any day you want, but as long until you do that, that's what I'm going to preach, and that's where we're going to be. And now we're to the point where we come forward. Now I know that every single one of you could take this whole bucket of stones and it not even touch. So let's just assume that every one of you has a 5-gallon bucket, right? And every one of you can just dump it in there. I know that. I do after this week. Oh, I do. But this is the time where we can do that, where we can come forward and know that our burdens are shared. Our fears about the administration, Our worries about our hours at our job, our worries about our job loss, our worries about surgery and friends and family and names and pronouns and what is going to happen in our lives. Our worries about cuts to our health insurance, our worries about what's going to happen the next 4, 6, 12 years. We can come forward. We can walk here, take a stone or many. Again, I know we could all take the whole bucket, but leave some for others. And we can put them in the water and let just a little bit of it wash away for now. Because in this place, we are safe. In this place, we're all held in love. So I do invite you to come forward and walk around and do that. And then if you cannot walk in this way, just raise a hand, because we are family and we will bear your burdens with you, because that is who we are. Let us be in a spirit of prayer and meditation. So as we're talking about inclusion today, I found a wonderful children's book called All Are Welcome. Unfortunately, this talks about all are welcome at school. And we all know that that's rapidly going to not be the case. So what I want us to ponder is how we can bring that message into our church. How can we as a community of liberal, welcoming spiritual people open our doors to those who are excluded for the next 4 years and beyond? That is the question before us now and, frankly, evermore. How can we be the place where all are welcome here?
Hello, little bees. Today's story is All Are Welcome, written by author Alexandra Penfold. Pencils sharpened in their case, Bells are ringing. Let's make haste. School's beginning. Dreams to chase. All are welcome here. No matter how you start your day, what you wear, when you play, or if you come from far away, all are welcome here. In our classrooms safe and sound, fears are lost and hope is found. Raise your hand, we'll go around. All are welcome here. Gather now, let's all take part. We'll play music, we'll make art. We'll share our stories from the heart. All are welcome here. Time for lunch. What a spread! A dozen different kinds of bread. Pass it around till everyone's fed. All are welcome here. Open doors, rush outside. We will swing, we will slide. We'll have fun, side by side. All are welcome here. We're part of a community. Our strength is our diversity, a shelter from adversity. All are welcome here. We will learn from each other. Special talents we'll uncover. There's a big world to discover. All are welcome here. So much to learn, so much to do. And when the busy day is through, can't wait to come back, start anew. All are welcome here. Head for home to get some rest and greet tomorrow ready and fresh. Our time together is the best. All are welcome here. You have a place here. You have a space here. You are welcome here.
As you journey, may you know, love and hope go with you, love and hope go with you. Learn and grow. Our next hymn this morning is in the Gray Hymn, or on the wall. It's number 95. There's more love somewhere. Well, good morning again, everybody, and welcome to the State of the Church Address. And yes, I'm calling it that as a very deliberate contrast to the awful things that went on this week. Today, I feel like, is one of those days that seems like it's a better collective day to mourn than to try and celebrate. I mean, honestly, if you look at it since November, right, we lost resoundingly at the polls, both national and local for many of us, certainly if you're on the Missouri side of the river. And for many of us, we are now scared witless. The amount of pastoral care that I have done with this congregation and Emerson and anywhere else, I mean, randomly on a ship in the middle of the Caribbean, you know, talking to people for hours as they pour out their pain and stress and anxiety. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this is my calling. Okay, this is my calling. Okay, this is my calling. Okay, this. You know, and it's not just Americans, right? Like, I had a 3-hour conversation with a Canadian woman who's legitimately terrified that the U.S. Army is going to invade her country because we have a lunatic who's talking like that. So we're seriously sitting here in a world upside down and backwards. I don't want to say a world gone crazy because I'm crazy and, like, I'm not this bad. So when you're looking at it, you look at a justice system that we've relied on for 200 years to provide some kind of balance, right, to the worst excesses. And instead, the justice system is throwing a party and saying, this is fantastic, let's do more of it. I see your fears, and I acknowledge they are super real. We are going to face a much worse time, politically and legally, than people have in probably the last 50 or 75 years, at least. This is a generation that is going to have to fight to reclaim rights, not to advance them, but just to try and get back to where we were at the turn of the century. We are going to have to worry not just about our bodies and our marriages, which are top of the list, obviously, but we're going to have to worry about our air, our water, and our environment becoming polluted beyond our ability to fix. Vincent, honey, my sermons are great, but really. I say this, and I'm saying this, and I mean this with all the love in my heart, and it's hard, because, like, a part of me wants us to be fired up, right? I want us to be angry, and I want us to be mad, and I want us to do something about it. But the problem is, we can't. And that is really hard to stand up here in the pulpit and say. Because as a minister, we are taught to organize, we are taught to push, we are taught to corral, we are taught to inspire, we are taught to get people out there and doing things. But the truth of the matter, my friends, is that we have to take on the coping skill of letting go. This is bigger than we are. Unless one of you sitting in these pews is a secret billionaire, in which case, please do talk to me after the service. But unless one of you is secretly sitting on a hoard the equal of Facebook or, Elon Musk, we don't have that kind of power right now. We just don't. And so the idea that somehow we're going to magically make Washington change if we just stand up is a lie. And I'm not going to stand up here and tell you lies. Even though they're pretty, and even though it makes us feel good to be angry and to march and to do stuff, it doesn't change things. And that's really hard. Because rage and fear make us feel better. They make us feel like we're doing something. Because they're hardwired into us with the fight or flight response, right? They're hardwired into our body, these toxic chemicals that get pumped out, and they're there for a purpose. When the saber-toothed cat is coming at you, you need to not be thinking about how do I go through a decision tree and decide what to keep and what to let go. You need to be running away. And so it made sense for our great ancestors who were hunting megafauna to have this super quick instinct to do this. But we don't live in a world where we can do that anymore. Very few of us have the capacity to run away. I mean, we're literally looking at a man who's trying to get rid of Canada and Greenland. So like half the continent is off limits now. I guess we could move to Mexico because he doesn't want that. You know, but that's the kind of thing we're looking at, folks. Can we fight? No. Individuals don't have that much power unless you're a billionaire in our society. Can we flee? A few of us can. There's some lucky ones who can get that golden passport to Portugal or somewhere else. But you know what? It's not just America, and that's what's really scary. The ADF party in Germany, which is the literal Nazis, is regaining power. If that does not scare you, I do not know what should. The emboldened sort of thing that is happening amongst the worst of the worst is incredibly scary. So should we just freeze, right? That's our other response, fight, flight, or freeze, right? So should we just freeze and just curl up in a ball and just pretend nothing's happening? That's another thing that a lot of people are doing right now. We're being paralyzed by our anxiety. But that doesn't do anything either. All three of these responses, do you know what they do to you? They shorten your life. That's what they do to you, okay? They're great for escaping a saber-toothed cat, but they're lousy to live in. They cause heart attacks, they cause cancer, they cause strokes, they do all these sorts of terrible things to you. Cortisol and adrenaline are not your friends. Great in a crisis, not great for every day. So we have to learn. It is an essential survival skill. We have to learn to let it go. But letting it go is not fatalism. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people who are taking that freeze approach. Oh, I'm just going to let it go and not pretend. No. That's fatalism. That's freezing. That's just pretending. That's sticking your head in the sand. That is not going to work either. Here's what I mean. Each of us has a tiny little piece. Okay? We have a 1 in 341 million piece of this puzzle. That's not enough to change what's happening in Washington. It's not. We saw that. 42 million Americans made a really stupid choice in November, and now we're all paying for it. But we can do something. And that's where the hope is. Have any of you ever done a group project in school? Anybody? Anybody else hate them with a passion? Exactly, right? Group projects are awful. Because here's what happens. There's the loud people who want their way, and they bully the rest of the group into doing what they want, but they never want to do the work. Then there's the aimless people who just want to randomly show up late to meetings and kind of surf on their phone for a little bit and then want to show up at the end and turn in a project. And then there's the real slackers who really don't want to do anything whatsoever on the project. And then there's the ones who need a good grade so they can keep their scholarships, cough me. And so they work desperately to do all of the work and turn it all in at the end and get a grade. It's really an unfair thing. Group projects are inherently unfair. I hated them in school, I hate them now, and I will never, when I teach, give them to people because I loathe them. But they are a microcosm of life. They mirror human nature, the personalities, the tendencies that play out in our species. Building a country, building a reality is a massive group project. So right now what has happened is the loudmouth bullies have pressured everybody into doing things their way. And so what's happening is those of us who really want to make a good grade on the project and see everybody have a decent project to turn in are over here desperately trying to do all the work, but we can't do all the work because we're trying to hold the whole thing up by ourselves and it's going to crash. You know, we can't overcome all by ourselves. So what we have to do is we can respond in fear, we can shut down and check out, we can run away and disengage. Don't get me wrong, if one of you has the opportunity to move to Portugal, I will come visit you. It will be great. You know, you can take us all in as refugees, it'll be fantastic. But most of us can't do that. We don't have the ability to flee. We don't have the ability to fight. We don't have the ability to freeze because freezing isn't going to change anything. So what we have to do is we have to get past this gut reaction, get past these hormones, and move into something. So we have to find a way to overcome the bullies that doesn't involve running, hiding, or punching. Even if I do want to ask my health insurance company who their CEO is every single time I talk to them. I mean, nothing has changed. That's the thing. Violence hasn't changed anything. I'm still fighting to get critical medications covered every single day. You know, nothing has changed. And that's the problem. So serenity is not about them. It's about me. It's about me saying, you know what? I don't want to have a heart attack at 60. I deserve to live a long and happy life. Cover his ears. Screw them! I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have a good life. I deserve to be surrounded by people who love me and who I love in turn, right? Like, I deserve to have a good life. And folks, you do too. This isn't just a me thing. This is an all of us thing. So the thing about serenity is it's not about giving up and being fatalistic. It's not about, them and being scared of what's going on. It's about saying even when awful stuff happens, I'm going to find a way to have peace. And that peace is hard won. I'm not going to pretend like, oh, you just do this 3-step technique and, the one simple trick that'll get rid of your belly fat by morning? That's not how this works. It's a lifelong endeavor. But we educate, we empower, we promote. We work step by step by step. We slowly normalize who we are. Elizabeth Blackwell, do you know who she is? A few of you might. She was the first female physician in the United States. She was not allowed into a hospital. She was not allowed. So she was allowed eventually to go and get her degree after fighting for a very long time. And she was allowed to become a doctor, but she was not allowed to practice at any hospital in the US. So what did she do? She created a hospital for the poor and indigent, the people who couldn't afford to go anywhere else. And she got the backing of a few individuals who believed in her dream and her mission. And she started this hospital, and she staffed it with other people who weren't allowed to be in there. And so she gave care to hundreds of people who would have just died because the establishment, even back in the 1800s, didn't care about giving good health care to people. Elizabeth Blackwell is an example of finding your peace in a rotten situation. The thing is that this takes generations. We are 200 years past Elizabeth Blackwell, and women physicians still do not make the same pay as their male counterparts. Women physicians still experience more oppression, more bigotry, more hatred in the workplace than their male counterparts. Women physicians are still degraded in ways that their male counterparts do not experience. So what do we do? Our faith looks at us and says, we are co-creators. This is such a cool idea, okay? Walk with me on this. So some faiths say God created everything, okay? And this may be your theology. So if it is, I'm not stomping on it. I'm just laying this out here. God created everything. Other faiths say, our faith, Judaism, says, God created everything, but left some room for decoration, left some room for improvement, left some room for you to put your finishing touches. So like God built the building to spec, But you have to move in and like decide where you're going to put the bookshelves and, what kind of door frame you want. And, do you want the oval or the round toilet in the bathroom? Apparently, that's a very important decision to a lot of people. But the thing is by being a co-creator, we're recognizing the fact that we do have an influence on how these things go. We have the capacity to make this earth a heaven or hell of our own choosing. Now, as I said in the beginning, we can't do that for the whole United States of America. We're too small. But what we can do is in the four walls that we create as a church, we can do it. And that's the thing, okay? I do not have the power. God, I wish I did. But I do not have the power to make Missouri quit being stupid. So when Missouri decides that trans folks don't get to use the right name on their driver's license anymore, I can't stop that. But what I can do is I can tell people, what is your real name? And by real name, I mean the name you want to be called. And that's what gets put on your name tag here. Okay? When the government says, well, you can only have this pronoun or that pronoun, I can say here, what do you want on your name tag? It's really simple. I have a program on my computer and I can type in literally any pronoun you want. It's really simple. But at the same time, for those of us whose pronouns are not the standard he or she, it matters. When someone comes here, I don't ask, oh, well, did you have a legally binding ceremony with, certain paperwork that a government recognizes? I just say, oh, is this your partner? That's all that matters to us. We don't ask because we don't care, because the government doesn't dictate. Our faith dictates, and what our faith dictates is love. We're co-creating this together. We're co-creating heaven in this spot. And heaven might be under siege, right? The theology of most religions says that there's a war in heaven, that there's constantly somebody trying to overthrow heaven. And believe it or not, that happens here too, even a heaven that we make on earth. There's always going to be somebody trying to crush it. So whether it's your pronouns or your spouse or anything else, maybe you just like having clean air to breathe. I know that's a weird idea. But apparently, the government doesn't think that's a great idea. But at least when we come here, we can have air purifiers running. And I know that sounds silly, but at the same time, for those of us that are asthmatic, it's not silly. Like, this is a big friggin' deal. Being able to breathe in the building we're in. Having a building that's handicap accessible. Do you understand they are trying to get rid of the ADA? They are trying to get rid of the ADA. So instead of being able to use my wheelchair when I need it, in knowing that there will be a place where I can actually, go up an elevator, that may become a thing of the past. But here, when we build our building, we can darn sure make sure there's ramps. This is how we make a better world. We don't have power outside the walls that we wish we did, but inside the walls we do. That is our power. Our faith teaches us. It teaches us this. It teaches us this is why we exist. It says that we can do it at this time in this place. Heaven is possible. That's pretty wild when you think about it. The idea that heaven is possible, that it is in our grasp, that it is able to be made in this lifetime, that we don't have to wait until we are dead and gone to experience it, that we can have a slice of beauty and love and wonder and joy right here, that love is how we get there, that it exists right here on this earth. The church is our artist studio. It's the place where we all come together and we all bring our little pieces of our puzzle. And you know what? Our puzzle pieces don't have to fit. That's the thing about a mosaic, right? Like a lot of times people sit there and they think, oh, well, my piece has to fit your piece just so, and if they don't fit just right, then we got to break up. No, mosaics say, your piece looks pretty and my piece looks pretty, and we'll just put some order in between. And as long as they look decent next to each other, it's fine. There can be a gap. We don't have to be exact. We can have gaps between us. Our theology doesn't have to be exact, but our values are close enough, right? We're close enough. It works. We can start arranging our pieces in this meeting. We can make delight out of brokenness. You know, mosaics don't use whole pieces. That's the beautiful thing about them. They only use the shattered shards of things. They only use the brokenness. They only use what is left over. They only use the strange, the weird, the crushed. Things are bad, but at the same time, they're also better than they've ever been because we are here and we have a chance. And frankly, we know who to be worried about now. You know, they're not hiding anymore, right? For a while, we've had to be like, maybe not. No, we know who we're up against. We know exactly who we can trust and who we can't right now. We know who these boogeymen are. And there is a sort of liberation. You know, I work with a lot of people who are facing complex diagnoses. And many of them have told me that there is a liberation that comes with getting that phone call. When you know, oh, okay, the worst has happened, and now I have to learn how to deal with it. Because once the doom is here, you're no longer waiting. Is it? No, it's here. You know, the car wreck has happened, the phone call that tells you something bad is going on, it's here. But here, in this place, y'all are amazing. Do you know that? I mean that. How many other places do you know where nobody cares about the size of your pocketbook? Right? How many places can you go where you're not getting sent an email every other day asking for more money? How many places can you go where people aren't moving right along. How many places can you go? Let me change what I was going to say there. That's pastoral care just went whoop. But you know, how many places can you go where you don't fight in and out over the dumbest stuff? Right? We're not going to do that, right? I tell my son this at night when we're getting ready for bed. I'm like, no, we're not going to have a meltdown tonight because we're going to talk it through. We're going to be okay. You know, that's our right relationships covenant. It's us saying we're not going to have a meltdown over the color of the carpet, okay? We're going to talk it through. We're going to be okay. We're not going to have a meltdown over the lot. We're going to figure this out. We're going to be okay. And the reason we're going to be okay is because we know that there's really bigger problems out there. And we know we can meet them together because we call each other, we text each other, we ask questions. People email me about each other, and not in a, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? But like, oh my God, did you hear so-and-so had a thing? And I'm like, that's amazing. People are contacting me. They're talking. They're asking each other. They're supporting each other. They're doing things that I don't even know about, which is even better. Because we care. Because we are a family. Because we're better than a family. Because families are not always great. We're a chosen family. And chosen families are pretty amazing. We're held in love. One of the things that has been really, really cool this last year to me is as I look around and I see people who are coming in our door and they have a relationship with me and I've never met them. And they say this because they come in and they've watched a bunch of videos of the sermons online. And they'll be talking to me and they're like, they know me and they know stuff, and I'm just like, hi. But it's so cool because we're starting to have a reach that is so much bigger than we are. And that's who we need to be. And Alex is going to tell you, and I'm going to spill the beans early. Sorry, Alex. But the website's going up and it's great. It's very exciting. You know? So when we think about building, it's not just, oh, it's scary, we're going to spend all our money. It is, yes. Spending money is scary, I agree. But you know what's even scarier? Is the idea of our trans and immigrant and queer friends not having a place to come. Our disabled friends not having a church that's accessible to them. Our neighbors and unhoused friends and others not having a place to make their own. Those who are simply just liberal thinkers who no longer can stand dealing with the horrors of their family gatherings because it's become so bitter and so broken, who need a place to come and find a family. We need that place for these folks. You know, not just a sanctuary on Sunday. And that's the thing. I think it is the worst, saddest thing in the world that churches are only open on Sunday. It's like you got 30 days in a month or 31 days in a month. So what are we going to do with every single night of the month? You know, Eden's got plans. We're talking. We're like, we're going to rock and roll. You know, trans groups, unhoused advocacy, you know, all these things we can do as a community hub. No other church will touch this stuff. You know, other churches are distancing themselves, especially from queer and trans issues right now. They are running away from them because DEI is now a bad word. And we're going to double down because that's who we are and what we do. Because when everybody else runs away from, you know, trans people are such a tiny minority. Let's grab them and pick on them because then we can load them up on trains and gas them because that's what we do with little minorities when we have problems. You know, I'm a Jew, and I got to tell you, this is how this happens, okay? So again, as long as I'm in this pulpit, we're going to double down on being there for our transgender friends and allies because that's what happens. You find a minority and you scapegoat the heck out of them. And then you do terrible things to them, and that is not how we're going to do it in the walls of this church. We are going to be the church that comes forward and says, you are welcome here. You elderly, you're welcome here. You know, drag queens, come on in. We love you. We want you here. It doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. What we care about is who you are on the inside. We want the people who love. Yes, that's right. We want the people who love. The world is a scary place, but it was scary when we were a union church just across the river from a slave state. It was scary when we fought for the rights of women to vote, and others told us it was too radical a thing. It was scary when we supported the civil rights movement. It was scary when we marched on behalf of LGBTQ. It is scary now that we're supporting immigrants and transgender folks against this administration. It's a scary world, but it's also our chance to create heaven on earth. So let's find a place, let's build this building, and let's make a slice of heaven. Amen, and blessed be. Our final hymn before we get to dive into our slice of heaven pies out there in the potluck is number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Can I tag you? You think we get more if we let Vincent do it? As we pass around our offering plates, that's all right. I remind everybody that our church is supported only by your giving, but if this is your first time with us this morning, please do not feel any need to give. This service is our gift to you. As always, if you're not able to give as much financially, you can always see Peg or any one of our board members, and we will put you to work. Give what you will and what you are able, for you are a generous people. He's like, there's food out there. First in line for the potluck. Please join with me as you're able in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. So I have two quick announcements. Number one is that tomorrow is my new member class. So if you are interested in possibly joining us as a new member, or if you just would like to know more about the church in general, or how I run things, or what I'm talking about in these classes, feel free to join me. If you don't have the link, I think it went out in the newsletter, but if you don't have it, just email me and I will get that link to you as well. And then our Bible class continues. The Bible for Liberals is also on Tuesday night. So 2 classes back to back. Monday's the new member class, Bible on Tuesday. And those are the 2 things that I have. What else do we have? Anything else? There's a ton of slides, I think. Yeah. So there's lots and lots of community announcements. We're just going to let folks go through it. I also want to say that after church, we're going to have potluck so that everybody has good blood sugar before we come back for our mid-year meeting. And anything else I need to lift up from the pulpit today? Okay. In that case, I invite you to join me in reciting our prayer as we extinguish our chalice. Whoop. Oh, yes. So we do have the overnight warming location stuff, Habitat for Humanity. Those were, again, and I think were in the newsletter or will be. They will be. I'll get them. I'll get you the info. Yep. Again, more things that folks are doing. Friday Food and Fellowship is in manual. Yep.
Oh, Emmanuel Methodist
Yep.
sponsors that. They're wonderful. They do that. So,
Yep.
Friday Food and Fellowship.
Yep, they're looking for volunteers. Basically, it's something they do for anybody in the community. They don't ask for money. So folks that are unhoused or have food insecurity can come and get a good meal. Again, it's kind of one of those things we can't wait to do ourselves once we have a little more building. All right. I invite you to join with me now in reciting our prayer as we extinguish our chalice. The light of truth cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. May we all take the flame of love within our hearts, knowing that as long as we allow it to illumine our way, we are walking the road to heaven, not fear. Let us go boldly into a future shaped by love, held up by one another, singing joyfully along the way. Amen and blessed be. Our postlude this morning is another song that we invite you to join with us in singing. It's Love and Only Love is the Doctrine of this Church, and most of you will know the tune. Only breathe love. If you wouldn't mind, those of you that are more physically able, if you could help us take any of the folding chairs back out, because we're going to need them for folks to sit on. Let us go eat. That's a good question, Alex.